Hello everyone, I'm Zath and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be my winter manga haul. This has been such a busy reading season. There were no shortages of pickups at the end of this year. So now sit back, relax, and without further ado, let's talk about some manga. The Savior's Book Cafe, Story in Another World, Volume 4. This series is the perfect fluffy warm blanket that just melts my circuits. Tsukina and Il are just so adorable. Like, who needs candy when you can just enjoy a panel of these two smiling as they shop for books together? And their little dates at the festivals? I needed this amount of tooth-rotting fluff in my life. Il reminds me a lot of Izark from Far Away, and honestly, I'm here for it. Tough characters that have a gentle side to them has always been my jam. And honestly, who wouldn't want to get excited about enjoying their hobby with their partner? As I've said before, this is an isekai I can get behind. Real by Takahiko Inoue, Volumes 1 through 15. These 15 volumes are all that is currently published in English, though the series remains incomplete. Real's story is centralized around three characters. Nomiya, a young man whose motorcycle accident caused the girl he was riding with to be paralyzed from the waist down. Togawa, whose bone cancer cost him his leg and his track dreams. And Takahashi, a basketball star whose future shifted tragically after an accident leaves him in a wheelchair. I've heard this story described often as wheelchair basketball, and while that is a theme, it is so much deeper than that. Originally, I'd picked up a couple volumes, and then once I read them, I just had to keep going back to get more and find out what happens. The way each character faces adversity and the fact that life can change in a moment's notice. I really don't want to spoil any of this story because it's a terrific one. A great blend of sports, drama, and the strength of a human heart. This is my first Takahiko Inoue manga, and I can definitely confirm that his art style is amazing. We even get some really nice color pages, and to my surprise, it's more than just one or two color pages at the start of the volume. Normally, I might suggest hesitation when diving into an incomplete series, but sometimes it's not about the destination of a story, but the events along the way. And Real is a story you don't want to miss. My Love Mix-Up Volume 5. Can I keep telling you all how much I love this series? Ida and Aoki are just too adorable. Chapter 18 is so sweet. We get hand-holding, Valentine's Day, and birthday shenanigans all in one volume. Not to mention, Hashimoto and Ida get a little closer in this volume. And of course, life isn't perfect, and we get a reality check once in a while. But nothing good friends and people that care can't help you overcome. Again, I can't say a bad thing about this story. I love this series, and if you're not reading it, get to it! Erased by Kei Sambe, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, and Volume 5. This is the complete series by Yen Press in beautiful hardback editions. Complete with color pages, Yen Press really puts out the best hardback manga. The story is about a failed manga artist named Satoru who finds it incredibly hard to relate to the people around him. He experiences an uncontrollable ability that he calls revival. It allows him to go back in time and replay a scene before him, allowing him a chance to spot an anomaly. While growing up, his town was the center point of a terrible group of kidnappings. So much so that the parents of the surviving children try to block out these memories. Even Satoru himself finds that he struggles to remember clear details of that time. When an incident on the news triggers him trying to regain these memories, he finds himself in hot water. I don't want to spoil what happens, but wow, is it a wild ride. I absolutely loved this manga. I couldn't stop reading. The mystery, drama, and psychological mind games that go on are executed well. There's also great character growth within these pages and tense drama. I did watch this anime a while ago, and I have to say without a doubt the manga is so much better. While I really enjoyed the anime at the time, before I knew there was a manga to this series, I'm happy to have this series in its original format. I highly recommend reading this series. Moriarty the Patriot Volume 9. Sadly, this is the last volume we'll be seeing on our shelves this year. However, it did not disappoint. The comedy is spot on, and I always like everything about this series. We get a good breakdown of comedy, past flashbacks, and setting the stage for a future showdown. I can't wait until the next volume will be released early next year. Black or White Volume 5. This volume's a bit thin this time, but this was still an enjoyable read. The story follows two men, Shige and Shin, and their acting careers. They hide the fact they are in a relationship from the public. In this volume, Shige and Shin are working in their new respective acting roles, and are making some positive changes in their careers. Hanasaki is hilarious in this, and hopefully his plan doesn't backfire. With an ominous ending, I hope this reprieve for our characters isn't too short-lived. Cherry Magic, 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard? Volume 4, and Volume 5. Adachi and Kurosawa finally go on a date, and what an adventure it is. It's nice to see and hear how Adachi has changed to communicate his feelings more with Kurosawa. So many great comedy bits are thrown into these volumes. I also like the references to video games, such as the game over screen after their date. It's a nice little inclusion. As much as I enjoy the slow burn romance of the main leads, I absolutely love reading every scene Suge is in. His relationship with Minato is hilarious, and you can't help but cheer for him. The long-winded title aside, this BL rom-com is worth your time. The Way of the House Husband Volume 8. A larger volume than the previous one, so that's always nice to see. My favorite chapters are the ones about golf and self-defense. They are hilarious. In the back of this volume, there is a spin-off called Crime Catch Pull-Cure, which is based on the series that Miku likes in the manga. It was a bit meh, but still the main series overall has some great comedy. Deadlock Volume 3. Just going to throw a content warning out there again, only read this if you're over the age of 18. Though I imagine if you've made it to Volume 3, you are already well aware that this series earns its parental advisory. All that aside, Volume 2 left us off with a terrible cliffhanger. The search for Corvus comes to a head in this volume, as Yuto discovers that perhaps Corvus is closer to him than he originally thought. Deadlock has done a tremendous job of developing a complex story in such a small volume count. You really see a good depth to its characters, and really see the bonds one can make, even in the worst of places. Only one more volume to go for this series, and I cannot wait to see how it all plays out. The New Gate, Volume 5, and Volume 6. Volume 5 was actually enjoyable, with Shin meeting an old friend who wanted one last fight before he passed on. Volume 6 took another step back for me and is pretty boring. However, the story does pick up toward the end. There are some story tidbits that may pan out for exciting reveals later on. I feel like this series bounces back and forth, between being a worthwhile read to me, back to being bored and dragging my feet through a volume. I had hoped that the further I read into this series, the more stable it would become. Its premise is interesting, but unless there is a sudden shift in the story, I think this will only amount to being a very average isekai in my opinion. Spy Family, Volume 8. Most people by now know this series. With the anime's second season airing and its ever-rising popularity, you really don't need me to be another voice in the crowd telling you to read this series if you haven't yet. The family cruise arc in this volume has been one of my favorites in this series so far. Seeing Yor in action is the perfect balance of badassery and comedy. Mix that with Lloyd and Anya having some father-daughter time, we get all the sweet family feels to round out this volume. All in all, this volume is one of the strongest of the series. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it again. Zomba 100, Bucket List of the Dead, Volume 8. Akira and his friends travel to the northern coast of Japan, crossing more items off their bucket list. I think this volume was a little less enjoyable than the usual ones we get. However, I enjoyed the Dinosaur of the Dead chapters. I mean, come on, who doesn't enjoy dinosaurs? I am looking forward to the next volume as we finally get hints of a possible zombie cure. Either way, if you are a fan of comedy and a different take on the whole end of the world premise, give this series a try. I Think Our Son is Gay, Volume 4. The wholesome story about a mother who thinks her son is gay continues. Hiroki goes through a lot of changes in this particular volume, and as always, I enjoy the thoughtfulness of his mother as she watches over him. The cute art style fits perfectly with this story as we're shown a loving household. I do wonder how long this story is going to be, as not too much has changed overall for our characters. I understand this being a slice-of-life story, this is to be expected, but I wonder just how many small things can be added before the mangaka would reveal or change something larger. Either way, despite each volume's short length, it's nice to sit back and read such a positive, good-feeling manga. I finally caved and picked up some digital-only manga. Change of Heart, by Kujura. You can read that review over at my blog. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Between life and my work schedule, I don't always get to make these videos timely, but still want to talk about series. I find that typing out reviews on a blog allows me to talk about things I'm into quicker. Not that these videos will be going away, it's just allowing me to review more content in a timely fashion without waiting for a break in my schedule to make a full video. So if you're still interested in reviews but in a different format, please go check that out. And that, my friends, is gonna do it for my winter manga haul. Thank you all so much for watching. Did you have any favorite pickups this month? Did you pick up any of these same titles this month? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you all in the next video. I'm Zath. Have a good day.